Good morning. Welcome to the Monday Morning Jumpstart. Hi, my name is Rory Peters, and I'm the founder and CEO of Rory Peters International, as well as the Grow Your Business Like You Mean It live event. I'm a speaker, a sales and leadership trainer, and the author of Sell Like You Mean It. This week, we're going to talk about how good enough isn't good enough. In almost every video I talk about, I bring up the concept of being your very best, striving to be the best that you're capable of being. And if you do that, there's a good chance you're going to be the best, period. That's because so few people are willing to do that. And one of the things that's going to take you there is having the attitude that good enough isn't good enough. Now, what does that mean? So many people will put out some portion of their best, some portion of it. And they'll know it's not the best they can do. But they'll say to themselves, you know what? I really don't want to do this anymore, or I don't want to put out any more effort, and that's good enough. What I did's good enough. It'll be fine. Nobody will notice, or nobody will care. It doesn't matter. It does matter. It matters a lot. In order for you to have the success that I believe you want, especially if you're watching this video, it's going to take more effort than the average person is willing to put out. Matter of fact, if you believe the 80-20 rule, you're going to have to be one of the 20%. And actually, you'll probably have to be one of the 20% of the 20%. Because the 20% are going to start that process, are going to intend to give their very best. But probably only 20% of those people will actually follow through and give their very best. So that puts you in the top 4%. That's a pretty nice place to be. But the key is to believe that good enough isn't good enough. Do you believe that Michael Jordan thought that good enough was good enough? Did Tiger Woods believe that good enough is good enough? Warren Buffett, does he believe that good enough is good enough? It never is. Not if you want to be the very best you're capable of being, or to be one of the best, period. Back when I first started teaching computer networking, I had just gotten my certification. I was about to teach my first computer networking class. Now at this point, I had just been teaching Word and Excel and PowerPoint, teaching the software, the application end of things. Now I was moving into the computer networking aspect, and it required a much higher level of certification in order to be able to do that. So I got the certification. I'm now about to teach my first class. At this point, we had a bonus structure for the technical instructors, which means that when you got your evaluations at the end of the course, and the courses were usually 3 or 5 days, when you got your evaluation at the end of the course, if your evaluations from a score of 1 to 10 were better than 9.2, you got a bonus. If they were less than 9.2, you didn't. Up to this point, nobody had ever bonused their first technical class. Hadn't happened yet. Now, my attitude has always been, I want to be the very best that I'm capable of being. And when it comes to something like teaching a class, I don't want there to be any evidence whatsoever that this is the very first time I'm teaching a class. I don't want anybody seeing anything that would lead them to believe that. I want them walking out of the class thinking this was a great learning experience. I really like this class. And on top of that, I'm slightly competitive. So I obviously wanted to be the first instructor to bonus their first technical class. So what did I do? Instead of just doing a decent job of preparing, I started preparing every single night of that class. The night before the first day, I started preparing after dinner and went to 11 o'clock at night. The next day, I started after dinner and went to 11 o'clock at night. Each night, preparing for the next day's lessons, making sure that I knew all of the labs, all the pitfalls could take place, knew the information, didn't have to read the slides, that I knew what was going on. I did that every single night. Matter of fact, I did that for every single class that I taught for the first 2 or 3 times. I would do that. And what was the end result? The end result was that I was the first instructor to bonus in their first technical class. And I was Instructor of the Year 3 years in a row. That kind of dedication comes from A, wanting to be your very best, and believing that good enough isn't good enough. Only my very best is good enough. Nothing else will do. If you believe that good enough is good enough, then you're going to find yourself in the middle of the pack. You're not going to stand out among your peers in your career. You're not going to be the business that everybody goes to. You're not going to outshine your competition. Because somebody out there will believe that good enough isn't good enough and is going to be willing to put out the effort to make that happen, to only deliver their very best. Now, I believe that's you. I believe that you have that drive in you, or you wouldn't be watching this video. So what you have to remember is every time you step up to take care of a customer, every time you're preparing your business or your career in any way, shape, or form, any time in your relationship with your significant other, your children, your friends, that you never look at it as good enough is good enough. You always want to be giving them your very best. Whether that's your spouse, your children, your friends, your boss, your company you work for, your clients, you always want to be giving them the very best that you have. Never say to yourself, good enough is good enough, because it isn't. If you want to be the best, if you want to be the best of the best, if you want to be the very best you're capable of being, then the only way that's ever going to happen is if you're willing to do whatever it takes to ensure that good enough is never good enough. I hope you enjoyed this video. There's plenty more coming down the pipe. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I'll see you in the next video.